Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will present the introduction. Zakat is a religious obligation ordering all Muslims who meet the necessary criteria to donate a certain portion of wealth each year to charitable causes. Giving away money to the poor is said to provide yearly earnings that are over and above what is required to provide. Besides that, zakat is based on income and the value of possession. The common minimum amount for those who qualify is 2.5% for a Muslim's total saving and wealth. Zakat is considered to be a mandatory type of tax, although not all Muslims abide. In many countries with large Muslim population, individuals can choose whether to pay zakat. The other are declaration of faith, paradise, fasting during Ramadan, and Hajj privilege. Other than that, the fatwa in imposing the correlation to pay zakat here expressly refer to the corporation registered under the Company Acta 2016, which embody from the common law and the conventional English company law. In conclusion, we all need to work on poverty eradication, which is the basic purpose of zakat. It seems to be tough but not impossible. But most of the zakat administration follow the short-term solution by helping the poor by directly giving them a sum of money to buy their necessity.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Today I will present about issues. The first issue that can shown in the article is the dilemma of fully recognize the doctrine of a separate legal entity of a company to be part of Sharia law. Okay, uh, based on these issues, Muslim scholars have these different opinions on this matter. For the example, the South African Council of Scholars strongly oppose this doctrine. This doctrine simply because it comes from a capitalist system of Western economies that cannot be relied upon for the Sharia principle. However, there are some of them give full recognition to this doctrine in making specific reference to some clinical Islamic institutions such as Waqaf, Mohd, Baitul Mal and others. Okay, next issue that shown in this article is the misunderstanding of Malaysian scholars between companies and partnership. Okay, these two companies and partnerships have a big difference the law uh, under the law. Okay, this opinion seems to ignore the above doctrine and remain inconsistent with it, and thus forcing shareholders religions to the company's obligation to pay zakat is impossible and defeats the doctrine of a separate legal entity. In addition, in some cases, shareholders may be between corporate entities rather than individual.
Okay, for the literature review about our obligation to pay zakat, the scholar of Islam defines zakat as a part of property with a certain requirement that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala requires to the owner to give the proper persons to have it with certain requirement. For example, there are several literature review with is according to Yusuf state that the zakat disbursements has the ability to increase consumption since the marginal propensity to consume of the zakat payer is lower than the zakat recipient. Zakat is obligatory on his or her wealth if it reaches the minimum limit if the owner has the ability to pay and it is the necessary conditions are met. Okay, next, according to Said Bohiroya, there is not disagreements among scholars that is a company with is subjected to zakat as except of on the right person is obligated to pay it, be it the company itself of its shareholder According to this view, a company is recognized as having complete legal capacity and such as it is obligated to pay zakat on its own behalf. Okay, lastly, some scholars suggest that zakat help individuals to overcome the unwelcome trait of greed. The payment of zakat is designed to enable the poor to grow in wealth and spirit.
I am going to present part legislation on obligation of company to pay zakat in Malaysia. Under the Federal Constitution, zakat is treated as an Islamic law matter that falls under number 1, Item 2, state list of the 9th schedule is stated as follow: Islamic law, personal and family law of person professing the religion of Islam, including the Islamic law relating to zakat. For example, the Selangor State Islamic Religious Council or Majlis Agama Islam Selangor, a body corporate established under Section 5(1) of the Administration of the Religion of Islam. The enactment is responsible for the collection and administration of zakat in the state of Selangor by virtue of Section 80C of the enactment. The obligation of company to pay zakat in Malaysia arises after several fatwas at national and state levels, together with research paper in imposing zakat on company as a corporate zakat on its business were already resolved. Reference to this can be made firstly to the 31st Muzakarah of the Fatwa Committee National Council of the Islamic Religious Affairs Malaysia or Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia, held on 9th of December 1992, which resolved that a business company is obligated to pay zakat fulfilling these 6 conditions, which are as follows: the company is owned by Muslims, the company is owned by free Muslim, complete ownership, the amount of wealth reaches the minimum zakatable limit or nisab, the wealth possessed is for 1 lunar year, and the zakat rate on company is 2.5%.
Okay, today I will present about features of the subject issues. The property of an individual entity from a new entity that is with a spec goal as if they were an entity merging into one, and the attribute of that individual are digested in the entity that has been formed. Although the entity form does not have all the properties of an entity possessed by an ordinary individual, technically the law has conferred some right on the entity as it is conferred on the individual entity. These rights are legal action, right to sue or being sued, right of ownership right to contract, contractual right, and so on. If the features that have been mentioned can be seen from the perspective of Sharia, it clearly shows that the establishment of corporate entities today is not a new thing in Islamic Sharia. The concept of illegal entity can be seen through practice in the past, such as the establishment of Waqaf institution. Among the basic principles of Waqifi is when a person places property or something that belong to him as Waqaf, then the Waqaf property no longer belong to him. However, it should be noted that the property does not transfer to anyone, including the beneficiary to the individual who endowed the property. So, next, for second issue, Islam recognizes the existence of legal personality towards the company. The question of whether the company is obligated to issue zakat as an individual or does not require a big argument. This is because one of the main conditions of zakat obligation is that the individual must be a Muslim. The question is how to determine the Islam or not of a company. It is by looking the activities of the company. In the author's views, although the concept of legal entity is accepted in the establishment of a corporate company, although the entity conduct business based on Sharia, the obligation to issue zakat is only obligatory on Muslim owner only. This is meant that from the perspective of zakat, the legal system sees this legal entity as an individual. Therefore, when it pays the obligatory zakat, the whole and nisab imposed are like ordinary individuals. To facilitate the discussion, it is better for us to discuss the view of modern scholars regarding how to issue the obligatory zakat on legal entity. The obligation to issue zakat remain with each individual. Therefore, the company does not have any responsibility to issue zakat on behalf on its owner. The fact this view does not accept the concept of syakhsiyah iktibariyah in the obligation to pay zakat. This is because each individual is only obligated to pay zakat when he has enough whole and personal nisab. If a company takes into account the nature of syakhsiyah iktibariyah, it will issue zakat just like a normal individu. However, the obligation to pay zakat on the company depends on the existence of one of the following elements. There are laws that require company to issue zakat. The law of incorporation of company stipulates such the general meeting of the company has thus decide and consents authorization from the company owner on the matter.
I will continue by explaining ethics in Islamic finance industry related to zakat. As ethics and social responsibility are becoming day by day more and more important for the successful operation for companies and financial institutions. According to the concept of ethics and social responsibility, managers are obligated to provide the social environment changes, to adjust them with the organization overall goals and objectives of the group's concerns, and to take concrete steps to promote the general interest of the society. Islamic banks are also looked at to participate in the charitable activities in their societies. Allah says in Quran, those who spend their wealth in charity in the night and in the day, secretly and openly, they have their reward with their Lord. On them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. Surely it is possible and may even be better than that the distribution of zakat is left to the individuals, investors or shareholders to spend it on causes they consider to closer to Allah, since zakat is a religious obligation first and foremost. One of the factors of the Islamic bank is its commitment of Quranic morals and values, all of which are based on goodness, righteousness, and benevolence. Islamic banks must portray these values in the same way as required of individuals. Islamic financial institutions deal with their customers on the basis of fairness, justice, and kindness, then spend money on the path of righteousness and charity. Islamic financial institutions that pay zakat need to ensure that the zakat payment are made to the rightful recipients. According to Islamic principles, it is mandatory that zakat be paid only to the right recipient. Therefore, institutions that pay zakat have to carefully identify the recipients. The Islamic principle of zakat implies that resources are not only God given to mankind, but also an amanah trust which must be discharged as equitably. Administering zakat is a very crucial duty. It not only deals with collecting and distributing money, but also related to the spirit to uphold Islam as a religion for all humanity.
Now I want to present about the contract that used in Islamic banking and finance. Okay. First of all, contract in Sharia means a tie or not binding two parties together. Okay. The contract is a declaration of offer and acceptance. In some of the verse Quran, where such a contract are stated, foundation for rules of new contract will imitate. In others, recognition and legitimization of already existing practice at the advent of Islam are confirmed. Sharia includes certain pre-designed contract derived from the Quran, Sunnah and Ijma'. Okay. A new contract may be completely new, but an amalgamation of a number of nominate contracts. Okay. There are 5 main contract in Islamic finance, which is mudharabah, musyarakah, murabahah, ijawah and salam. Okay, for this issue, the contract that used in Islamic banking is mudharabah contract. Okay, The terms refer to a form of business contract in which one party brings capital and the other personal effort. We get to the mudharabah share. The company need to pay zakat on both the capital and the profits when one house has passed on the capital. Okay, zakat is due on the profit if they reach the nisab on their own or when add to others and a whole pass. Okay, the rate of zakat is 2.5%. Which we get to the assets, zakat is not due on them if they are not intended for sale. The obligation of zakat remains restricted to the individuals. Each owner shall give out zakat when he has fulfilled his own hisab and haul. Okay, besides that, there is a contract perceived as an innovation that will make a technological and organizational disruption over a wide area. Smart contracts are expected to be the future of a whole automated, immutable and transparent international ecosystem. Okay, that said, traditional contract taking the form of physical paper are exposed to non-transparency, fraud risk and slowness. Smart contracts will be used in each of zakat's collection and distribution process. Okay, it will be self-executed if the condition of obligation to pay zakat are satisfied.
The zakat system can play important role in supporting sustainable economic development and facilitating better financial inclusion. Conceptually, the development of zakat system can be considered as a complement to government programs to reduce poverty between the proposed improvement of zakat management and public awareness as follow. First, entrepreneurs are advised to use business income for their business zakat accounting expertise in Aceh Darussalam, Indonesia. These findings do not appear to indicate the relationship between zakat accounting method and allowable tax deduction. This is due difference in the use of data source. In addition, entrepreneurs have to pay business zakat regardless of whether the profits has been earned or not if the business have positive working capital. To be fair entrepreneur, they can use any method, either customer working capital or based on business income. And secondly, the important for Muslim to have comprehensive knowledge to realize the benefit of zakat fund. International journals should promote or recommend others to review and publish articles related to the field of study. At the same time, universities should provide adequate research grants to support the promotion of those fields. It's also recommended this article related to this field should be available online through open access system to take advantage of the use of the internet that allow the journal to be viewed by researchers by other countries. The distribution of zakat has significant and positive effect on the increase in the income distribution for the poor and the needy. And lastly, proposal to improve the method of zakat management by making it just a collection body and can be coordinate the distribution to people in need in Malaysia. The basic figure of zakat is that decreed by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Therefore, it should be collected and distributed according to Sharia law and not submit to the will of the authorities. The real impact of zakat on society cannot be seen due to lack and proper distribution. Moreover, zakat institutions are not regulated. The people and the government need to better understand the importance of zakat, understand the socio-economic problems that may arise if not practiced as a perceived.